Hello, everybody. Hope that you're enjoying this amazing day. My cherry blossom popped out today, and my forsythia is in full bloom, and it seems like the perfect day for a tea ceremony. We had a little excitement here in my dining room that's converted into my tea room because we had 2 honeybees just that wanted to share in the day. And somehow I think I got them out. And my friend Aaliyah is here running tech for me. So I wanted to thank her for coming to help out with the craziness. And we have it set up so if you have questions, you can type them in the chat. And I'm going to start by welcoming everyone to SJA Tea Ceremony. I hope that some of you got to do some of the events yesterday, like calligraphy. I think some of you did. And we watched an anime watch party last night with the teenagers. So Demon Slayer, if you are on Netflix, go watch Demon Slayer. I guess that's the thing to watch. And we're going to start with a short introductory video, which you may have already seen, which is produced by one of our youth board members right now.
Is a nonprofit organization seeking to expand opportunities of studying the Japanese language and culture in Arlington, Virginia, and the surrounding area. SJ is an all-volunteer-based organization, and our volunteers range from native Japanese speakers to fellow learners. SJ began as Save Japanese in Arlington, focused on saving the Japanese program in our local high schools. After saving the Japanese language program in our local high schools, we became Study Japanese in Arlington, and we began to offer youth, adult, origami, and culture classes. We have also been doing online classes through Zoom to work around the pandemic. We also hold events like Japan Day. Our first one took place in 2019, and sadly, due to the pandemic, our Japan Day 2020 event was unable to happen. Now, in 2021, after getting the hang of this whole Zoom situation, we are finally happy to welcome everyone to Japan Day 2021. We hope everyone enjoys the activities planned for this event, and we hope everyone has a great time. Have fun!
Okay, so well, I think we're all situated. We have about 30 people on the call, so that's terrific. And I wanted to say, first of all, I am not a tea ceremony teacher. I am a practitioner. It takes a long time to become a teacher, and it takes a lot of licenses, and you have to have a special license to be a teacher, which I do not have. So I am a practitioner. I have been practicing for about 8 years in DC, and this past year, during the lockdown, I've been practicing by myself at home, sometimes watching videos on YouTube. There are a number of good channels. Also, my neighbor Jessie and I have been practicing together outside or at a safe distance. So that has been a fun thing to do during the lockdown. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit about tea ceremony. And again, I'm not a teacher and I'm not an expert on tea ceremony, but I'm going to go ahead and start presenting. I'm going to do a little bit of this presentation, and then I'm going to do the tea ceremony, and then I'm going to help you guys whisk your own bowl if you want, and then we'll take questions at the end. Most of you would know that tea came from China, from in the 4th century. Tea in Japan is now, of course, cultivated in Japan, and it's made in an area called Shizuoka. It's like the leading tea cultivation area in the country. But what you need to know about the history is that it came from China, and things from China in those days were very highbrow in Japan. So anything from China was considered very exquisite, very important. But some of the tea came over from China and originally was practiced as a kind of medicine. Then when Zen Buddhism started in Japan by Myoan Eisai in 1187, he started the practice of cultivating tea for religious purposes. So started off as medicine by rich people, noblemen, priests, and then moved to religious purposes. Then, of course, samurai, the rise of the samurai in the, I don't know, Japanese history. I'm certainly not an expert, 12th, 13th century, and then eventually the heyday during the Edo period. The samurai took up the practice of tea and began serving tea on important occasions. Unfortunately, tea got politicized. I was talking about that yesterday in the calligraphy class, that calligraphy was not politicized. Tea became politicized and it became used as something of power. This is where the samurai would serve tea to other samurai. Eventually, this guy, Murata Shuko, began what we know as today as the Chanoyu. He was a priest and began to serve tea in smaller rooms. He would serve the tea to his guests. So this is just like a normal person who began to serve tea in smaller get-togethers. Then our real father of the tea ceremony as we know it today is this man, Sen no Rikyu. You can see the years that he lived. He came up with the practices that we continue to practice today, like this tradition of wabi-cha. Some of you that know about Japanese culture may be familiar with the term wabi-sabi, which we'll get into in a moment. This man really reformed the ideas of his predecessors and began tea ceremony as we know it. He became the official tea master for Oda Nobunaga, which some of you may know as one of the main leaders in the Edo period, who was attempting to unify the country. And then eventually tea master for Toyotomi Hideyoshi, which eventually led to a couple of odd situations. He was one of Toyotomi Hideyoshi's most trusted confidants and was in charge of serving tea to him. I suppose it would be something today like a woman in waiting or something, where he was always available to Hideyoshi. Unfortunately, you'll see from my slide here that I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, he was ordered to commit seppuku, which is a ritualistic harakiri. So the difference between harakiri and harakiri and seppuku is the highbrow, very high level suicide, where you disembowel yourself and somebody slices your head off so you don't suffer. The harakiri is a low level, different kind. So he picked a particular day and had been ordered to do this. Some people think that the reason for this is that he had crucial differences in opinion about the wars in Korea, or Chosen, and was ordered to do this at this time. But after he did that, a lot of his followers were picked up where he left off, and eventually split into 3 different tea schools. I compare it to the splitting of Islam, because both Sunni and Shia are from the same originator, and so, but then they went different ways and followed different people. So the 3 schools ended up having some differences, but it all come from Sen no Rikyu. This is his tea room. It says it was designed in 1582. It's only 3 meters square, so he's really the person that brought the size of the tea room down to very small, 32 square feet, if you can imagine. If you know Japanese tatami, it's basically 2 tatami size, and that was enough room for the Senrikyu to serve tea and 2 guests. One of the reasons for that is he wanted everyone in the tea room to be an equal standing or equal footing. So when everyone is smushed in there together with knees touching knees, everyone is kind of at the same level, and even leaders that were fighting each other would have to leave their weapons outside. Although there is some conversation about that one door was big enough for Hideyoshi to bring his swords in, but the supposed to be that you don't take weapons into the tea room. It's a place of equality, simplicity, and a place to find peace and harmony with yourself, with others, and with nature. If you want to know more about him, Sendo Rikyu, there is a movie with Toshiro Mifune as the lead character. You would know Mifune from all the Kurosawa films, like can't remember a single film at the moment. Seven Samurai. What's that one? Ronin. Ronin? Is that a film? Anyway, wonderful actor, amazing Japanese actor. And if you want to look up this film, it's on YouTube and you can watch it. Also, I recommend the Book of Tea, which is kind of writing down all the aesthetics of tea that were known in 1906. So, what is wabi-sabi? Those of you that have been to Japan or been around Japanese things know that things are simple, geometric, simple lines, rustic things used from nature. Sendo Rikyu especially was fond of using things that are what we would call today upcycling. So he would find a piece of bamboo by the side of the road and turn it into a flower vase. This is his bowl that he used, or it's the bowl that they think he used, which it was simple black clay, no style or color on it. I just picked a couple of other pictures that I felt represented wabi-sabi. Just a little bit about the tea room. You can see the tatami, the ro, which is the heater for the water. There's a tokonoma where you hang a scroll and you put some flowers and some incense. And in my room today, I have those 3 things displayed on a table in the corner, which is kind of hard to see because it's so green in here. And then on the right is a picture of a New Year's tea room. Again, you can see the scroll and the I forget what the name of that reed is that's hanging, but it represents kind of eternity. And then we have the incense and a little offering at the bottom. Here is our local treasure. This is Ippakute, which is behind the Japanese embassy on Massachusetts Avenue. I've been there a number of times for tea ceremonies. They used to do tours. A couple times a year they would open it up, so maybe get on a list so you next time they open it up you can go on a tour. Our other local treasure is Yu Yuan, which is the tea house at the ambassador's residence, not the embassy but the residence, which is on Nebraska Avenue. Also been there multiple times for events, and when I'm there for events I go in and see the tea room. In the back here is the tea room. That's actually my picture with the snow. That was a couple years ago for the New Year's celebration. And there's me and my friend Disa. If Disa is watching, she's going to be horrified. But anyway, that's the two of us there during a JET alumni event. Other local treasures, Brookside Gardens in Maryland has a tea house. If you're interested in going to someplace local and enjoying kind of a Japanese aesthetic, that's your place to go. Here are some tea rooms. The one on the right is in Philadelphia, and the other two are in Japan. These are the three schools. I think we're going to kind of skip through that and get to how to be a guest. So how to be a guest. More likely, rather than doing tea ceremony, you would be the guest of a tea ceremony. So Aliyah is going to be my shokyaku today, or my only guest. Maybe Suzu could be the jikyaku, and everybody else is called kyaku. So there's some pictures. It's a picture here of some wagashi, which are Japanese sweets. You have your sweets. You use this kaishi paper, put your sweets on, and you eat your sweets. And then when you get your bowl of tea, you place it on your left hand, steady it with your right hand, chest level, and turn it clockwise 2 times so that the front of the bowl faces the person to the next to you, like 45 degrees. Oh, we do have a jikyaku. So there are a number of things that you do, including you say to the guest, actually I don't have it written here, but you say, chodai itashimasu, and you drink your tea. You raise the bowl to the tissue, which is the person making the tea, and drink your tea in, I think it's 2.5 sips, and then turn the bowl back and give it back to the tissue. And yeah, we can do that when Aliyah is going to be a guest for the first time, so you guys can walk through that with her. I just thought I would put up some information about wagashi. Is there anything that you recognize there, anyone? You might recognize the word mochi. On the left, we have hanabira mochi, uguisu mochi, kusu mochi, sakura mochi. So when somebody says, I like mochi, it's kind of like saying, I like chocolate. There's just a million kinds. And on the right are some other Japanese sweets or snacks that we eat together. Here's some more here. The one in the center with the big pink flower, it's just like a piece of sugar held together with some gelatin, and that is what we have today. Yeah, that's okay, Heather. I'm hopefully once we get through this, we will be able to see more in detail once I get the presentation done. And let's see, making matcha at home. I thought maybe one of the reasons that you guys joined today was so that you could learn how to make matcha at home. And it's simple, really. All you need is a tea bowl or a cup, doesn't matter, ceramic is better. The standard tea bowl size is here. You need a wooden spoon or plastic spoon, not metal, because it changes the flavor of the matcha. And you need water just under the boiling point. If you boil the water, it gets, it changes the flavor. Katie's asking, is there a place we can get Japanese sweets locally? The best place is H Mart. They have everything there that we would need. Otherwise, the Teaism in Penn Quarter, which is where I buy my matcha, they have an agreement with a Japanese sweets maker named Matsukawa, and they sell Matsukawa sweets at Teaism. So that's probably your best place to head down there and get some of the higher end stuff. But honestly, anything from H Mart is fine. It's good. They sell Japanese stuff there. So again, I put the put 1 or 2 teaspoons of matcha. It's better if you sift it first, so it's very fine when you're putting it in your cup, and you're adding 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of hot water, and you're whisking it with your bamboo whisk. And remember that matcha is not brewed, but rather it is a suspension. So if you wait, then all of the matcha will sink to the bottom of your bowl and taste not good. So as soon as you're given the bowl, you're supposed to drink it. Americans often sip it once and then kind of think about it a little bit. And then that's probably not good because it sinks to the bottom. Unless you sip it once and you don't like it, then, of course, don't keep drinking. But it has to be this temperature and it has to be suspended quickly. So here's some of the benefits of matcha. You guys may know those already. And the caffeine content, a little bit less than coffee, but more than black tea. I usually say that matcha caffeine is the good caffeine, whereas it kind of stimulates your brain and gives you more energy, whereas coffee is kind of the bad caffeine, even though I love it, so can't hate on coffee too much. But try drinking matcha in the morning instead of your coffee and see if you feel better, have more energy. I guess that was the last slide. Okay. So are there any questions at this point? If there are, please put them in the chat. I'm going to press stop share. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing the tea ceremony. And we have a couple of camera angles today. This one I need to share, that one, right? Okay. And anytime you have a question, put it in the chat. I guess I need to turn that video off. I wish I had a clock.
We have a couple questions
Sure.
that have come in. Is matcha something you'd have every day or just for special occasions?
You can have, in fact, we had our tea master here with us in DC 2 years ago, I think in the summer, and he said he starts every morning with 5 bowls of tea and not 1 scoop. He does 5 scoops. So he's 25 scoops of tea every morning, and he's very healthy. And so yes, you can have it every day and special occasions.
Which store was for the high-end Japanese stuff?
That's Teaism. You want to type it in there?
Yeah, I can type that in the chat.
Teaism, which is a chain, but the one in Penn Quarter has a shop. So the one in Arlington doesn't have the shop. You can call and have things delivered from Penn Quarter if you don't want to go downtown.
And do you have a favorite matcha?
Yes. So matcha, much like champagne, has to be grown and produced in an area called Uji in Kyoto. So if it's not grown in Uji, it's not matcha. So when you look at a can of tea, look for the words ceremonial grade and Uji or Kyoto. If it just says high end or high grade, it's not matcha. It's matcha mixed in with some other stuff. So just be careful about what you buy. A can of matcha, a small can of matcha at Teaism is $22. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Please continue putting your questions in the chat. I'm doing the Ryurei style today, which is a table style, which started around Meiji in Japan. Just some notification. Meiji started in 1868, and as foreigners started coming into Japan, the Japanese developed this table style. So I'm doing table style today. Okay. Okay, Aaliyah, you can have your sweet. I know you're also on dog duty. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll turn on the
So
camera.
I put the green tea and put the matcha in the bowl. So Aaliyah's going to go ahead and have her sweet. That little paper, just pick up those little papers.
Mhm,
Pick up the whole thing. Yeah. That's basically like your little plate.
mhm.
And then you can unwrap that. That is the higashi style. That's just a sugar with held together with some
Just
gelatin.
like this.
And these are easy to keep in my freezer, so that's why I have them. And she can go ahead and have that. That's basically to kind of coat the palate a little bit with some sugar before you have the matcha, which is very bitter. And the so Aaliyah is the shokyaku, and Suzu is the jikyaku. I don't know if people can see Suzu. For those of you that know me, you know that I have a very special dog who's a good assistant, and she's the second guest today. So now that Aaliyah has started her sweets, I am going to give her her tea and teach her how to drink it. I was doing this one time and somebody said, I didn't know how to drink tea.
I'm very excited to learn.
Okay, so I'm whisking this. Whisk that a little more. And the front of the bowl is facing me. Normally there would be a third person that would take the bowl to you, but I'm going to hand it directly to you. So I'm turning it so the front of the bowl is facing you. It's very hot. So put your left hand on the bottom and stabilize it with your right hand. Okay. The bottom is not hot. The top is not hot, but the sides are hot.
Okay. And so do I turn it now or?
Yes. So you turn it with your hand on the side.
This way?
Oh, other way. There you go. Turn it clockwise. Yeah. So the front of the bowl is facing the second guest, who is right there. Yes.
Susie.
Oh, she took her place.
Susie's right here.
Then you say, "Chodai itashimasu."
頂戴いたします.
Here's our little cheat sheet. Not even. Oh, there we go. 頂戴itashimasu. And then you lift it up and bow to me. Dozo. If it's scalding hot, but you like scalding hot, don't you?
Oh, no, not Esther.
Hi, Suzu. I know she wants her tea.
Good.
Good.
Do I drink a second time?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2.5 sips. But if it's absolutely too scalding hot, then I'll just get the second bowl. Too scalding hot?
No, it's good.
You done drinking?
I
Oh,
did 2.5 sips.
Is it all gone?
Oh, no. Oh, I was supposed to drink the whole thing. I'm sorry.
So Leah's gonna sip on that because it's too hot. It's always too hot. And I'm gonna get a second bowl for the second guest, who doesn't really like tea. And then if you don't want another bowl of tea, or the second guest doesn't want another bowl of tea, you say oshimai kudasai when I dump it, when I pour out the water.
Okay.
Ready?
おしまいください.
しまわせていただきます. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
So that was one time through the Usucha tea ceremony. Are there any questions we need to
Yeah, I've
answer?
got a few. All right, so the first one is, are there any thoughts or intentions you have?
Not to drop it. No, that's a great question. So the tea teachers tell me that every move has a meaning. Also, none of the moves are in vain. So, for example, when you move this in front of you, it's close to you, so you can easily get at the implements here. I think for myself, I like to listen to the different sounds of the tea ceremony. So a couple of them you heard today were replacing the top of the cold water. Another one you heard was the snapping of the fukusa. Another one you heard was the sound of the lid going back on the kettle. So I personally like to focus on the sounds, and also tea ceremony has a lot to do with nature. So I like to listen to the sounds from nature, from outside.
Next question is, are guests expected to finish the tea in 2.5 sips?
Yes, they are. But if you don't like it, then you don't have to finish it.
And how many is too many guests for tea?
I guess it would be how many people can fit in your space. So like Sendo Rikyu's 2-mat room, you could fit 2 guests. If you want to have people sitting around a table, I don't think there's too many, but you would have to make that many bowls of tea. So it would be a lot of making tea.
Is there any place I can take tea ceremony lessons in DC? And is it open due to the COVID situation?
Yes, so I believe the Ura-senkei folks have an office in DC that you can go in and have a bowl of tea. If you want to, maybe Aaliyah, you could type in the chat, Ura-senkei DC office. I don't think they're open, but they will be someday. The normal way to learn any Japanese art like this is you have a teacher that teaches you personally, and you're supposed to learn from the teacher. So it's less about studying in a book and more about doing and learning from the teacher. But I do know that Ura-senkei has an office in DC, and I think they have like 1 day a week where they have drop-in times that you can go in, but I don't know if they're open.
So this is so nice, something so peaceful about it, almost like Scandinavian hygge.
Oh yes, so that was my intention with this room this year. Was I put some lights up in this room in the winter to bring in that warmth. But I totally agree. That's whoever said that is.
Oh, Ava did.
Who?
Ava.
Ava. So you're on my same wavelength with the thought about that.
And why does it take so long to master tea ceremony?
Yes, this is a great question because it takes that long to master any Japanese art because you're supposed to practice over time and learn from doing. So until kind of recently, there weren't even any textbooks because it was such kind of a closed off world. Japanese they have a different kind of approach to learning than us Americans. Americans are very much Machiavellian, just get it done. Who cares what it looks like, just get it done. Whereas the Japanese just want to do it. They don't need to get it done. They just want to do it.
And so someone would like if you could go over the different tools and pieces used.
Yes, that's that we can definitely do that.
This camera is still up too, if you want.
It's off?
It's up, it's on.
Okay. Would we like to make a bowl of tea first? I don't know if people at home were wanting to whisk a bowl. Maybe they already did that.
I don't have anything in the chat.
Okay. So then in that case, we can just do go over some of the tools and implements. So tea ceremony is cha no yu. And I'm now noticing this is not in Romaji. Cha no yu, tea ceremony. A tea bowl. I think I'll use Aaliyah's tea bowl. Still has a little bit of tea in it. Probably got too much water. So let me use the one that doesn't have tea in it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. No, there's no reason to drink it all. So this is a tea bowl. This particular tea bowl is a year-round bowl. So it has maple leaves and cherry blossoms on it, so I can use it all year. There's a front and there's a front and back to this bowl. Some bowls don't have this clear front and back, but this one does, and I like using it because it's easy to hold and has that all season aspect. That's chawan. Fukusa is this cloth I was using to wipe things, ceremonially wipe things, and yeah, for ceremonial cleansing. Tea container is natsume. This is the natsume. Inside is the matcha. It's supposed to look like Mount Fuji inside. Not that great at doing that, but that's the natsume. That's lacquer. Shouldn't ever get wet. Chapkin is this little white towel that's used for wiping things. This is wet, whereas the fukusa is dry. The tea whisk. If you want to make matcha at home, I do recommend getting a whisk. They are $10 on Amazon, or you can go to Teaism and pick out one there. That will make all the difference in making matcha at home. Tea whisk, chasen. Chashaku is this little scoop, this little bamboo spoon. Chashaku, used for scooping out the tea. Mizusashi is this cold water pot. There's cold water in there. It's supposed to use distilled water so that the flavor of the tea doesn't get affected by any minerals that may be in the water. Kensui is the dirty water bowl. I don't know if you can see this bowl down here. This is where you empty the water after cleaning your bowl. Futaoki is lid rest. This little guy right here. I actually have a beautiful one with cherry blossoms on it, but I broke it. And a friend of mine is doing kintsugi on it, where you repair it using gold. So I haven't seen her because of the pandemic, but I think she's working on that for me. The ladle is the hishaku, this bamboo ladle. You saw me using it to ladle out hot water and cold water. The furo is this bottom part here. There's actually an electric coil in the bottom. In traditional tea, that would be charcoal, but I'm nowhere near that level, so I'm using an electric coil. That's the furo. And in the winter, it's, which way does that go? In the summer, it's on top. In the, I can't remember. I will check that later. And then the okama is this iron kettle that I'm boiling the water. Thank you for asking.
All right, and let's see. So do the hosts serve themselves?
The host can serve themselves. Yes. So if you are hosting a tea ceremony, you can definitely make a bowl for yourself.
Someone says that they were able to whisk their bowl and how to treat thirst.
Oh, good.
And they want to know the, oh wait, no, sorry. We already went through that one. And can you explain the different things you were doing to the cup? I guess the bowl.
To the bowl here? Yes. So when we first come out, when I first brought the bowl out, I had the chapkin inside, and it's damp. I had the whisk on top of that. It's like a little pillow, it keeps it from moving around. And I had the chashaku on top like that. So it comes out in this form, and we have to wipe things down. We have to take this out. This gets removed to the lid over here, and then we purify the bowl with hot water. And I don't have any hot water in here now, but imagine that I did, and then I do this ritual with the tea whisk to prepare the bowl, to get the bowl warmed up. If you believe that bowls have chi, which they do believe that, you're kind of bringing the good chi there. I'm also checking for any broken pieces of this whisk, which they do break off because you use them for so long. So if there are any broken pieces, I'm careful that it doesn't end up in the tea. So then I'm warming the bowl with hot water 2.5 times, pouring that out, and then I'm adding the tea, more hot water, and whisking. So you want your bowl to be warm when you serve it, especially in the winter, because the ceramics are very cold and that the tea doesn't taste good if the bowl is cold. There's some basic things there.
And do you serve one person at a time? Do you finish one at a time if someone would like 2 cups?
So today we're doing usucha, thin tea, usucha. And usucha, you serve one person, one bowl. So Aaliyah drinks her bowl, gives me the bowl back. I use the same bowl, make a second bowl of tea, which people are like, coronavirus. Yes, so we would probably use a different bowl for each person. And then I would serve each person a bowl. She has something that she asks if she has to find out if the second guest wants another bowl of tea. So before she drinks it, she has to say, "Osaki ni itadakimasu." I'm rude because I received before you. I guess what we don't have here is "Mo ippuku ikaga desho ka?" So you would ask, or the second guest would ask you, "Would you like another bowl?" And you can say yes or no. And if you want a second bowl, then I would make a second bowl for you. Koicha, which is a thick tea, you put in the number of scoops that is exactly the same number of people. And then it's very thick. It's kind of a syrup consistency. Then everybody drinks from the same bowl. And again, with coronavirus, I don't know if that's happening anymore, ever. I don't know. I know I wouldn't want to drink from the same bowl that 3 other people drank from now, despite matcha having good antibacterial.
Somebody asks, it looks like you were examining the utensils after using them. If yes, what were you looking for?
Yes, so when you're the guest, you have your bowl and you drink your bowl of tea, and then you actually put your arms on your knees so you're supported, and you examine the bowl, you look at it, you enjoy the bowl. It's part of Japanese art to enjoy the bowl like that. Also, when I'm doing the tea ceremony here, I want to make sure the bowl is in the right position to me. So I'm looking at it and making sure I have it, not to the side or too far back or too far forward. I want it right here. But I do think that's part of tea, is looking at everything and taking in all the levels of the tea, and not just a tea bag and you just drink it and you're done. It's the opposite end of the spectrum from that.
And then one more question is, what is the significance of 2.5?
I think that's how much water you have in the bowl, and that's the appropriate amount of number of times that it takes to drink it. If it's made the right temperature and the right amount, I think for Aaliyah's it's too hot because this kettle burns hot, and I put too much in because I was excited.
Well, it tasted delicious. And that's all we have for questions.
Those are terrific questions. Yeah, those are great questions. I did want to, maybe we have a couple minutes left. I'll make myself a bowl, and you can see how to do it at home. So again, I don't think you need a natsume or a chashaku. If you have that, that's great. You don't need a Japanese bowl. You can use any bowl that you want. But just going to remove the lid. This lid is very hot, so I need this little fukusa so I don't burn myself. And thank you for slipping off. So I'm going to warm up my bowl. So if you're going to drink matcha at home, I think you should warm up your bowl. If anybody wants to do this together, you don't need a lot of hot water. You could also submerge the bowl in hot water, and then it would get the whole bowl warm. I'm just going to warm it up like this. I guess if you had a whisk that was dry, you might want to whisk it a couple times just to get the whisk ready. Just pour that out in your sink or wherever you're making your tea. You should wipe it. When you put the matcha in, you don't want it to absorb some water at the bottom of the bowl because it'll be hard for it to be a suspension then. So really all you need is a bowl that you've warmed up. You need, I'm putting about that much. It's probably, I don't know, you put two, like 1.5. And I did sift this matcha several times to make it finer so it would suspend better. And then you need about a fourth to third cup of water. I'm just eyeballing it. And then whisk. Whisking is not, it's not supposed to be aggressive, just very lightly. Don't press down because it'll ruin your whisk. Kind of just lightly touch the bottom. And we whisk it so there's a little bit of foam that forms. And again, this is a suspension, so you need to drink it right away. I'm going to find out how hot it is. I think I'm supposed to say, gojipuku. I'm drinking my own bowl. It's so hot. Yeah, that's too hot for me. So if you want to make matcha at home, you need a whisk, you need matcha, you have to sift it, and you need a bowl that's warmed up.
Is there a specific sift that you use for matcha?
Again, some dollar store item that I got from H Mart or whatever, just like a metal.
Like regular for flour or something too? Could use
That is not fine enough.
So just a very fine.
Yeah, I have like a little ladle and I just push it through that. You could, yeah, if you had a sifter like for flour that you use for baking, probably wouldn't be great because you'd have to put so much matcha in there and it would get stuck on all the parts inside and then you would waste your expensive matcha. So just something small that you can kind of, and remember, don't use a metal spoon to sift it. Just use a bamboo, wood, or plastic.
And do guests dress up for tea ceremony?
Yes. Actually, the person doing the tea ceremony is supposed to be wearing kimono. I'm not wearing kimono because I can't wear it right now. And we have our SJA shirts on. I think people would dress up on this based on the season. So if you get invited to tea ceremony, it is kind of a formal-ish affair. So, you know, nice pair of pants or a nice skirt and something seasonal would be nice. Those are great questions. Maybe someday we can all meet in person.
Are there any other questions people would like to type into the chat, please? Is slurping okay in this scenario?
Yeah, not like not like really loud slurping, but like this makes it sound like you really enjoyed your tea, but not, I mean, how many seconds was that? One? Less than 1 second? I was slurping a lot one day in my tea class because I was trying to be funny and one of my friends ripped the bowl out of my hands. Said, you're enjoying it too much.
And would you be able to send the slides? People are very interested in.
Sure, I can send the slides. But how do we do that? We have their email addresses, so
We can
Okay.
put it there.
yeah, thank you for that. That makes me feel good that it was interesting.
All right, we got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Is the green tea bag okay to drink?
So green tea is not matcha. Green tea is the leaf plus the stem and other parts of the plant. But green tea is green tea. And then matcha is matcha. So it's not that one is better than the other. It's just that they're different things.
And does everyone joining you during the tea ceremony have to use the kimono too, like the people in the room?
They should be, but not necessarily.
Ooh, that's Susan.
She kept you.
And this is being live streamed actually on the Facebook site on SJA. So if you'd like to watch a recording of this again, it will be available there.
And we have a survey feedback form that I think Stephanie is
It's
sending
in the
out.
chat. Yeah.
Okay, it's in the chat already. Great. And I guess that's it. Since the dog has fired up squeaking a toy, that must be the end of the tea ceremony. So, arigatou gozaimasu. Hope to see you at other SJA events later today. Thank you. Have a nice day.